Disaster Report 4 Plus Summer Memories, which from here on out I'll be referring to as just Disaster Report 4, is the latest entry in the Disaster Report series. But despite having that little plus in the title, this is actually the only version of Disaster Report 4 to be released. You see, the title was originally developed for the PS3 back in 2010 with support for 3D and PS Move, a truly ambitious feat. Sadly, the game had to be delayed as Studio Irem needed more time, but then in 2011, the Tohoku earthquake and tsunami happened, which caused the game to not only be shelved, but the studio as a whole to stop making video games and just focus on pachinko machines. Those who wanted to still make video games went and founded Studio Granzella that same year, and bought the Disaster Report IP in 2014, which in turn leads us to where we are now, a disaster that I have to report on. Just kidding. Sort of. In Disaster Report 4, you create your own character and give a brief description about yourself, whether you're from a neighboring town or city or from the middle of nowhere, whether you're here for business or just because. Regardless, everything immediately goes to hell the moment an earthquake hits. People are stuck under debris, they're scared, they're taking videos on their phones, people showing up for job interviews don't know what to do because those have apparently stopped. They can't do business meetings anymore because the one in charge can't be found. Oh, and that local store manager raises prices by a factor of 10 to take advantage of the situation. So yeah, things have pretty much gone to hell in a handbasket. So where does that leave us? Well, you could either be a good Samaritan and help out anyone that needs it, or you can be a complete jerk. The choice is truly yours. The game features dozens upon dozens of characters you'll be helping and or extorting. For some, just simply talking to them will help them out, but for others, you'll have to put a little work into solving their problems. And do be careful, people will remember what you've done for them. While all the problems everyone faces are indeed unique and keeps everything feeling fresh, there's no real sense of progression in regards to the overall story. I mean, really, you're just looking for a way to escape, since both the railroading and busing is impossible right now. So do note that the story is pretty linear, and once you go to a new area, going back to the previous one 9 times out of 10 is not possible. Since you are currently in an area where a major earthquake happened, the game treats itself as a survival game. So on top of health, you'll be managing your thirst, hunger, and bladder gauges. But these issues are so far in between. If you pace yourself right, the items in the convenience store in the beginning of the game will last you quite a while, and there are bathrooms everywhere. So despite everything going on, there's no real need to panic. While I do enjoy the camaraderie the game tries to invoke, some parts of it didn't really match up. For instance, in one part of the game, that store manager I mentioned earlier decides to sell his bathroom keys for 100,000 yen, and you can't stop him. In fact, you have to buy them, and from my own experience, the only way to get that kind of money was by stealing it. And in my playthrough, it was kind of a goody-goody two-shoes, and never slighted anyone. But now, here I am, out of nowhere, forced to lie and steal to get ahead, and to be honest, that kinda bothers me a bit. On to performance. If you've only been listening to this review instead of watching it, well, it's kind of sluggish on PS4. It performs well most of the time, but it dips a bit here and there. And I kinda understand why, because most buildings are collapsing and there's a lot of smoke going on. Other times, I'm not so sure as to why it is. That said, I fear the worst for my friends on the Nintendo Switch, as the demo did not instill confidence that I would perform well. But hey, at least there's always the PC version. In the end, the game is really unique and was something I even enjoyed. The only real issue I had with it is the presentation. It's an idea from the PS2 era that meant to come out on the PS3, but instead released on the PS4. If you're able to look past that and its problematic frame rate, you'll have a pretty decent time. Graphically, the game is pretty basic looking, despite it using Unreal Engine 4, like a lot of Japanese developers were using at the time. But they are a small team, so I'm sure they did what they could. In regards to music, the game is a bit sparse. The music you'll be hearing will be mainly coming from street performers, the radio someone has lying around, or an insert song that pops up here and there. In a way, the game mainly expects you to listen to the news app that you have, so you can listen to what's going on around you and other parts of the country. In the end, the game is really unique and was something I even enjoyed. The only real issue I had with it is the presentation. It's an idea from the PS2 era that meant to come out on the PS3, but instead released on the PS4. If you're able to look past that and its problematic frame rate, you'll have a pretty decent time. And that does it for our review of Disaster Report 4. If If you have any comments or questions about the game or the review, by all means leave them down in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Also, let me know if you plan on picking up Disaster Report 4 as a game to get you through some of these trying times. I will say, the release for this game has some impeccable timing, and I'm excited to see what they'll do for a Disaster Report 5. If you're new to my channel, finding me out for the first time through this review, hey, be sure to stick around and subscribe for future reviews, commentaries, let's plays, and more. Also, if you really love what I do here, consider becoming a YouTube member, supporting me on Patreon, like these amazing people here on screen. And as always, everyone, thanks for watching.